welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence. Providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellent seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. And I am your host, Despina Karatius.
Relax.
It is a great pleasure to have you aboard the Tourism Hub Express train. We are here today to really talk about the backbone of every business. My special guest that will join me on this week's episode is coming from an angle of accounting and finance extraordinaire. So I've got an expert in finance and accounting, and it's certainly a topic that we need to always keep abreast and keep fingers on the pulse, particularly during this time when we are experiencing not only a pandemic, but a somewhat financial crisis in small businesses across the country, and particularly across the state of Victoria, given what has happened with a second round of isolation and stage 4 restrictions. Now, my guest that will join me, his name is Amit Agrawal. He has more than 15 years of experience in accounting and finance, and he has a whole lot of accreditations next to his name, including a CPA, mortgage broker, and accreditations in financial planning with a diploma in financial planning. Now, Amit, he delivers end-to-end strategy to build, manage, and protect assets for his clients. So without further ado, please help me welcome Amit to this week's episode. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, Amit.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. Now, when we heard of the last round of funding that came to be, particularly for the sectors of tourism, hospitality, and the entertainment industries that have been severely impacted, we thought, we being with Glenn from behind the scenes, that we'd love to get an accounting and finance expert on the show. And you were the first one that came to mind because we share a space, although this is the first time we've met. You've been such an incredible wealth of information and so willing to share what is happening around government subsidies and how small businesses can survive through the community that we have. So first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you to that, because you were a real leading light in that moment, particularly in stage lockdown 1, when we had no idea what was happening and what was coming to be. Now, stepping into your story to get to know a little bit more about you, can you share with us a little bit more about your business and how you got started in carving out your career in accounting and finance?
Look, I think it was really numbers came to me very easily as I was growing. I mean, I could see through numbers coming through. So from that point of view, accounting was most obvious choice coming through the school and university days. And then once I finished my accounting qualification, I worked in corporate world. And in less than it's fair to say, in 7 or 8 years, I rose from being a basic bookkeeping person all the way to financial controller. And I could see that next logical step would be CFO of a multinational somewhere around the world, which wasn't my lifestyle. And I always wanted to work with small businesses where I can contribute. And eventually 5-6 years ago, I decided to pull the pin on job and started my own venture in accounting, even finance. And since then, I've been working with a lot of small businesses, including somebody like yourself or Glenn, trying to support them make financial decisions and see the big picture and how small things fit into big piece of puzzle, and how you can actually grow from how you should have a strategy for long term and work towards it from the day one. So that's a lot of times it has been extremely rewarding to see people growing from being have absolutely no idea what to do to growing their businesses and their personal assets and wealth to multi-million dollars, in that sense.
How incredible. And it is such a personal relationship between a trusted advisor, particularly around your finances, personal and in business. And I can see how that would be very rewarding, particularly for sole traders or someone coming to you with the dream of a business, and then you see that journey come to life. Now, speaking from my own experience, I've managed businesses all my life, but when I did take that leap of faith in starting my own training business, that was one big gap. It's one thing. I think the big gap, or the financial intelligence that I found out probably 18 months in, is that I should have sought some more significant advice about how to best start up in business, particularly around the tax. The tax did my head in. It still does in a in a way. But I wanted to check in with you because, particularly for now, before we get into the funding that's available and this new round of funding that's come out, especially for the tourism sector in the state of Victoria, there's a lot of people at a crossroad right now. They might be on JobKeeper. They've had a secure job that now they've been stood down, and they have to take stock of what that next step will be. So they're thinking, well, if not now, when to pursue and start a new business? Or might have an inspired idea to come out of the current situation to start, that could innovate and that could inspire, and someone that has an entrepreneurial bug to start something. What would be some key things that you've seen clients kind of that you've either had to unravel because they've done the setup or they haven't considered things first? What would be some key things that you would give anyone that's looking to start a new business?
First thing, know your numbers. I'm a numbers man. I will talk about numbers. Second thing, build a professionals team around you, which is your accountant, a legal advisor, and any other associated professionals, like they could be IP professionals or any other. Have them around you. The third thing is, if I can lean on my experience in corporate world, there is no such thing as job security anymore. I've seen people who have been loyal to an organization for 20 odd years being shown the door overnight without any recognition or appreciation. And on the other end, even people who has worked for a month or two have been shown the door. So I don't think there is any such thing as loyalty anymore, considering the kind of environment we are in. It's just not there anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, being in a business or being in a job does not make any difference as far as security is concerned, right? So from that point of view, you should consider following your dreams. If there is something that you are passionate about, you must give it a go, because that question you will ask yourself 10, 15, 20 years down the track, what if I would have given it a crack? I would be at a different place. So from that point of view, I think giving it a crack and understanding what your current position is, how long it will take before your idea actually start giving results, and then doing a sensible forecast. How do you sustain during that time, and what sort of trajectory you're going to take from there on, and how long before you start break even, so understanding those things is important. And at the same time, it could be very challenging for anyone to get their head around these things if you are not a finance savvy person. So from that point of view, when I made my point, you should have a team of professional advisors around you, and your accountant should know what you are about to do. is very important from that point of view.
I love that if there is no such thing as job security, whichever side of the fence you sit on, whether you have you consider yourself having a secure job or you're running your own business. There is particularly at the moment, there is no time like the present or any time to be pursuing a passion. And to be doing something that you at least remotely love, and and naturally, if it's something that you love, that you're gifted in, to be doing as your work. And understanding your numbers, critically important. Has there ever been a time where you've told a client that's come to you with like a big idea, where you've said, oh, look, you've got to think about these things and come back to me in a little while, where you've seen the writings on the wall that someone's about to do something that they might regret down the track? I'm just curious.
Absolutely. There are people, everyone seems to think they have come up with $1 million idea. Not that I'm not saying their idea is not $1 million, but to think in their own kind of bubble that their idea is the best one is not the way to go. So sometimes I'm that needle that breaks the bubble, so you have to give them the bad news and tell them, hey, by the way, there are these realities you need to factor in before you jump into this thing. I mean, it's not directly related, but because of COVID, a couple of my clients had a bit of decline in their business, and they were on their way to buy their first home. I had to put my foot down and tell them not to do it because their numbers were just not convincing enough that they can afford it. Right. So from that, sorry.
I was going to say that's the type of advisor you want in your camp. That's you want that you want someone to stop you from doing that. And what I love about what you've shared there, Amit, I'm just like where someone starting out might not see the value of that investment could end up saving you a lot of financial and emotional hardship down the track.
Absolutely. And this is where, one of the things that I sit down and do with the new startups is ask them how much money they have and how long that money is going to last for them if they were not to make a dollar through the business. Usually there is a time, there is a lag between when you start and when you actually start making serious money out of business. Can your savings support you during that time frame as well as support the business? Because there is that journey, there is that void that you have to fill. No point in trying to do something when you know the void is going to be for 12 months and you have only funds for 3 months. Okay, if you have got a void for 12 months and we've got funds for 10, 11, you may want to expedite and do something. But if the gap is 9 months, you are in for serious trouble between month 3 and month 12.
And speaking of serious trouble and keeping that is a very, very important distinction there, that there's knowing your numbers and also knowing your cash flow, how much, particularly when you're starting out, how much is in the kitty and how long will that sustain you before you start seeing some revenue generated. In light of, at the moment, for industries like our wonderful tourism industry where, operations are grounded, there is no opportunity that, businesses that are run on international visitation, on domestic visitation, that don't generally operate with just a local market, that are seeing themselves now not only just getting through the restrictions, but seeing this as a long-term challenge. And having something like the JobKeeper in place is fantastic to keep the team, the team supported financially. But for the business that can't generate an income during this time and when this stops, what have been your thoughts around that and this decision between the JobKeeper and now business support? What are some things that you've seen and some things that you've seen that small business may not be aware of, or may not, if you miss an email or an update, it's very easy to miss that additional $10,000 support. What are
Mm.
some things that you've seen that you're telling clients, like, oh, I had no idea you could do that? Could you share with us anything that you've had from your experience over the last few months that we need
It
to know about?
Absolutely, it has been a roller coaster ride for everyone and anyone. It's a given fact. At least in my lifetime, this is first time I'm witnessing something like this, and probably that's true for a lot of people who are listening to this. So, having contingency plan in place is another aspect of business, but let's just be honest, most businesses would have it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, not for we are in this for good 12 months by the look of it, at least in Victoria, if not anywhere else in Australia and rest of the world, to be honest. Victorian government and federal government both have come in swinging with a lot of money. They have pumped in money like left, right, and center into the equation. And rightly so, when COVID hit, the cash flow went out of window. There wasn't any money whatsoever for businesses to operate, to pay anyone. These cash flow boosts and government grants has helped us bring that mobility, if I may say so, in terms of funds, and the businesses has been able to sustain and ride through. Typically, when I'm talking about experiences with tax office and any other government funding, it is well thought through. It takes days, weeks, and months, sometimes even years before anything is rolled out. But this was the first time, at least I've seen, where the policy has been declared first before the requisites to deliver that were considered. And the framework that came in was a 2-page document. For $300 billion project, a 2-page document issued to us and said, this is your guideline to work with. Us being accounting finance professionals were scratching our heads, where they have given a framework which is black and white, but everything else is gray. Businesses does not operate in black and white space. There is so much of unknown territory, or the territory that we tread every day and make our decisions. And that's why we are business owners, not in job, I guess, for that reason. But then subsequently, there were so many add-ons that came through, and we were scratching our heads. How do we comprehend this legislation? How do we deal with this? In fact, today as well, I got a call from somebody saying the professional advice they got was they are not eligible for JobKeeper. And I'm going, okay, send your information through to me and I'll have a look at it. It's so complicated that it's hard for professionals to keep their to get their head around, let alone small businesses. And that's where having that additional resource where you can lean on somebody and say, hey, I don't know whether I'm eligible or not. Can you please look at it and apply for me? It might cost some money, but it'll save you headache and all the pain to understand yourself how this is going to flow.
Absolutely. And that was, I mean, I think we will all remember those significant dates when they all came to fruition about what all the announcement will happen. And you're right. Yeah. It's kind of like the policy would be delivered, and then we had to work backwards and unravel and decode what that meant. Now, in light of the latest the latest support grants, and how quickly have you found this has been escalating? Because there's been JobKeeper, then there's been these bonus support, like you said, 10,000 here, and all in different brackets. And Glenn, I have this Word document in front of me that's come out, and this is specific again. This particular one is from the Victorian state government. And it's a whole lot of codes, and like how how does a business see this? And, it's just a matter of go and see your accountant or come
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
give you a call, because it's just, I don't think someone without that type of background could decode what I'm seeing
Yeah.
in front of me anyway.
Yeah. So the codes you're looking at is, so what Victorian government has done is they have looked at, so when we apply for business ABN, we need to pick industry code for the business. Now, Victorian government has done extensive list of codes who are eligible to get these government grants. If your business wasn't registered with one of the codes on that list, you will automatically be rejected.
Right.
So it's that important. This small, minute detail, like I believe you told me you registered your business yourself,
I did, yes. I did
right?
register my business myself, and I registered as a sole trader. And after
Yeah.
the first year, found out it should have been registered as a company, and I wasn't registered for GST. I thought I think it's a mindset thing too, Amit. I just went in, I'm by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself as a GST registered type of service until you're in it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what does this mean? So it was a lot after the fact that I had to then unravel for that first year.
So when you would have registered, knowingly or unknowingly, you were required to pick an industry code for your business, right? So
Mm.
if your code is not on that list, then you can't apply for it and you will not be eligible. Exactly. That's what you're talking about. We were talking about.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this
So
is, and then related to the different types of funding that's directed with this code, and we'll add this because this is a Word document. I don't know if you have a link of where this can be found. We'll pop it in the show notes for everyone to access as well. So just from business.vic.gov.au is where you can find this. So do each of these codes have different level of financial support depending on?
this is the prerequisite. If you are on this code list, you're eligible. If you're not, you're not. Black and
Okay,
white.
so it's just black and white, and
Yeah.
if you didn't do it from the start, you can't go back and recode yourself to say, oh, actually I made a mistake, or like me, I have no idea what code I would have put myself under.
So from that point of view, we can go and change it, but how that pans out with the Victorian government and federal government, that is something that has to be seen over the course of the journey. Because if we change the code, there is a good chance there would be alarm bells going out, and there could be additional questions coming your way and or potential audit for that reason, where you need
Right.
to identify why you change the code. And obviously, if you are genuine, you have done the right thing. If you are in the space you are in, as you are in marketing space, um, and your activities and your website and everything shows what you're doing, it's just matter of error fixing, then it shouldn't be an issue. But then there could be businesses who could be, doing things just to get the grant. Those are the ones who will be caught in this whole thing.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned earlier about businesses like that didn't think they were eligible for JobKeeper, and then when you look in the, you look at the fine line and you think, oh, yes, they are. Is it too late for businesses now that may have, particularly for the freelance or the smaller traders that may not have seen themselves? What would they? Is it too late? Can they go back and apply for a case, or is that deadline finished now that that first round is coming to an end?
No, it's not. It's never too late. So it's rolling basis. You can go and apply for it even now. I actually applied for somebody. I actually tried to backdate it from April for somebody, but we were able to get it for July onwards. So you can still try and backdate it depending on your eligibility and how strong is your case. It's case by case. But having said that, that's backdating portion, but you can actually start applying for it as of today or tomorrow, yesterday. So, I mean, the person I was talking to today, highly likely I'm going to get her information tomorrow and then reassess her position to see if we can get her some sort of payments from the government.
And that's another important thing to note, that if it's not only seek professional guidance, it's also seek a second opinion. If your gut is telling you that, I still think maybe it's not as black and white, but I can go back and see,
Yeah.
go and have a second opinion if that's the case.
Yeah.
So is there anything like something else that I noticed? It's not just whether it's Victoria or anywhere around the country. It's not just your state government or federal government. There's also local communities, like local councils or local chambers, that are also playing their part to support their local economic development, and keep their local community thriving. What would your advice, outside of seeing you, what would you tell businesses to just about being aware of what is around at the moment for financial support for their business? Because I'm saying there is small business makes a large part of our economy, and we don't want to see casualties at the end of this, although we're seeing that is starting to really be the case.
Mm-hmm.
What would you advise around that, about keeping your eyes and ears open, and what would be your key resource that you would direct people to go and subscribe to or look out for?
Look, there are a lot of community forums, such as, your council could be a good starting point, depending on whether you can or not, or if there is some synergy with the government department at local level. You should look at reaching out to them and see what they're doing in that sense. And then hubs like EIBC runs a lot of support programs, a lot of 6 for 6 pitches there, and few other bits and pieces are there, which are small contribution, but it's there. So looking at what you do and finding some sort of building network of like-minded people around you is critical for your development and your business development. And that's where people like professionals like yourself could be quite handy, where you would be seeing a lot of people from different professions coming through and connecting with each other, right? And that's where engaging with community in some shape and form becomes very important, and from my point of view, doing what I've been doing, passing on the information in simplified version, is my way of interacting with community beyond what I do to make money. So finding something that resonates with you, which may not directly be money, but it will open up a lot more opportunities in terms of networking, in terms of knowing more people, learning new skills, developing yourself, and also opportunities to make money.
I love what you've just shared there, and at the Eastern Innovation Business Centre. Shout out to everyone there, part of a local council here in the southeast of Victoria at Monash. But that is excellent, because it can be very overwhelming. There's so much information coming at you sometimes, that the way that you are able to serve us in kind of giving it very plain English. This is what this means. This is what you have to do to not miss out on that. And connecting with a like-minded local or otherwise, whether it's a local business community or online community. For us, it was this little fantastic WhatsApp group community, and but that's really important, that I think just that sharing of information and staying connected to have these open discussions about financial support and aid, and things like the events that are coming up, whether a lot of them virtual, of course, but it's still all really good stuff to help propel businesses forward.
Yeah. And could I
Really good.
just,
Yes, go for it.
it is very difficult time for anyone and everyone. Don't hesitate to reach out to somebody for help. If you are struggling mentally to go through things, talk to somebody around you. It does not hurt. We all are going through some sort of challenge, and we all have our ups and downs. And like, I mean, we are facing something we have never faced ever before. So it's okay to not to be okay, So my suggestion is just reach out, shout out to people, and and if somebody doesn't understand you, probably is not the right person to have around you. It's very simple.
Very simple, and very, very important message that it's okay not to be okay. And this is, we do speak about the mental health and emotional health component of what's happened, and finances can contribute largely when we have responsibilities and families or otherwise to look out for. It can, if at all it gets dark for any reason, having that connection and communication is really, really important. Amit, for you, when you first started, and particularly like you said, like project businesses, 1 to 2 months is as far as it goes to get through. No one could ever foresee something like this come in your risk management or financial
Yeah.
management forecasting.
Yeah.
When you first started out, what was some of the challenges that held you back from starting your business, getting out of your corporate world and going independently to pursue that you knew you could make a difference in people's lives in the way that you have in supporting businesses?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question? I'm sorry.
What was some of the challenges, or what was something that was holding you back to take that leap of faith to start
Yeah.
your business?
I think that that anxiety is there with anyone and everyone, that if I go on by myself, if I can't make it happen, what would happen? I've got young family to support. How would that go? But then GFC taught me something. I lost my job at the start of GFC, and then I couldn't find a job for 10 months at that time. Right? And that taught me something, that built that resilience in me, that if I sustained through that phase where something was sprang on me without me being aware of it, if I'm making an informed decision of walking away from that corporate world and do something on my own, and I have created that buffer for myself, I should be all right. So having that mindset, it's not easy. And I think the way our systems are in schools and universities, all we are taught is get a qualification, get a job, and plan for your retirement. uh, 9 out of 10 times that's the conversation kids are fed, which to certain degree I believe is detrimental to the society. And when you want to take that leap of faith, it really is contradicting with what you have been fed all your life. So it's not easy. It wasn't easy for me, and it's not going to be easy for anyone. But having that belief in yourself, taking that leap of faith, I wanted to do it. Otherwise, I would have been frustrated in my corporate role, and I would have probably, I don't know what I would have been doing.
So looking at your most challenging time and knowing that you got through that okay gave you the reassurance that you will be okay. And what it's interesting, Amit, because even for myself, I think something that has really taught it being with my 3 children, my primary school children, and being involved in their homeschooling journey, and
Yep.
blending our lives. Like suddenly our lives are not separated, they're
Yep.
blended. It's not a
Yep.
balance. We're just kind of all in one. And they have exposure to business and exposure to what mum does every day. And I've just seen a different level of education from them for them.
Yep.
So I've
Yep.
seen that as a positive thing, that we've kind of been forced to live our lives under the one roof. And it's really highlighted the same thing that you've just shared, that
Mm.
it's not something, and you look back on our own education and you look, and just having that real, having exposure to the day-to-day school program.
Yep.
They're in primary school, granted, but it's just not something that I think they could start earlier at that age to have an
Yep.
appreciation of where, you know, what this could potentially be. So now they're starting to think about what their business is going to be and what they.
Mm.
So I found that to be really rewarding for myself, that we sit around the table and have those conversations.
Look, as much as we are not happy about the situation we are in, there are a lot of positives that will come out of it eventually. This is going to reset everybody's mind, whether they like it or not. Some people would be early adopters, as you know, they would be resetting their mindset from the word go. And those who are left, they will be forced to change their mindset painfully.
Mm.
You know?
Yes. Yes. Talking about you and an incredible moment in time, and this might be even that time that you had, when you think, if I don't, like, I must get through this. Can you think of a time in your journey in building your business where you had an incredible burst of clarity that this is now what I will do, like an aha moment that was a defining moment for you? Can you think of a time where you realize this is exactly where I'm meant to be and what I'm meant to be doing?
Look, I think from aha moments point of view, I think from here my journey for next 10 years is what I'm looking at, right? And as much as I am all about numbers, uh, my next slogan is life beyond numbers.
Mm.
Right? That's my next project, and this is first time I'm declaring it in public, but that's my next project is gonna be where I am gonna bring numbers and the beyond aspect into one location, and tell people numbers are just part of your life, they are not your life.
And where does that come from? Life beyond numbers. I love that. What was the calling for that? Is that through this period, or is that just through your journey of seeing the people behind, the person behind the client, I guess, if that makes sense?
So it has been on the go, but I think this COVID has been tipping point for it to come through.
Yes. The aha moment has come,
Yeah.
that now this is a new calling in you, because we're always evolving, right? You had your calling to start your business, but you're
Absolutely.
always evolving. I love that. Life beyond numbers. What's the best advice you've ever received? Now, you give advice every day. What's the best advice someone's given you?
Make sure your calm and composure is there before you can give others advice, because if I'm not settled, if I'm not in peace of mind, how can I clearly understand your challenges or my clients' challenges and advise them appropriately?
Do you find that, like, even as part of your academic journey and did you find that emotional intelligence was there in your teaching?
I guess, see, that aspect of emotional intelligence is missing from our education system. Our education system is learn the numbers, learn ABC, learn books, remember them, pass the exam, get the certificate, and go into the job. And that's where your EI starts kicking in, unless you are blessed with that prior to going to the work environment. It's not there. But my journey, I guess, more started with what I started doing beyond work or beyond studies, is where I've engaged myself into a spiritual journey where I'm trying to explore different ways how I can be centered and then radiate that centeredness around me.
Well, you do radiate centeredness. You definitely do, and it all. I mean, I felt that from the way you shared information. I must say we were all very grateful, and how lucky we were to be among that group that you were in, Amit. Now, in terms of now, I would say I want to ask you two things:
Mhm.
personal habits that contribute to your success. And the
Yep.
second part of that, financial habits that you have either had instinctively or you've learned to develop that have helped you. I would love to hear that. What are some personal habits that have contributed to your success? And then, second part to that, what are some good financial habits that we should really adapt to?
Look, from my point of view, it is that persistence and consistency in making your effort day in, day out. Every morning we wake up, we have challenges. It's matter of how we take it and deal with it and um, muddle our way through in current environment. That's the best way I can put it right now, because there is so much uncertainty at the moment in the air that that persistency and consistency in your effort is the key to keep going. Um, Having cool head has always been a key element from my point of view, and meditation has helped me big time. And I've shared that with Glenn a few times how it has helped me keep going and be the same most of the times. Um, as far as numbers side of the things is concerned, I don't know, somehow it has been uh, built in, and the way we have been raised, appreciation for numbers has always been there. And to understand that and to incorporate that, it comes from within. It's just natural for me, to be honest.
With your meditation practice, Amit, is that something that is a recent journey for you? Is that something that you've been doing for a long time? Because I know a lot of people, yours truly is something that when I get it, I really get it and I see the benefit of it. But I think I mean, I'm answering my own question here, but in terms of persistence and consistency, how have you found that how have you incorporated that into your daily life to keep you centered and that level of sameness? Because I like that. I like that you can approach things calmly and with cool headedness, no matter what is being thrown at you. So what is your, like, just as a quick summary of what your journey's been like there with your meditation?
Look, I've been practicing for last 7 8 years now, and if I look at myself when I started to where I am today, um, I can never go back to where I was 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, even if do I try to be as consistent and as persistent with my practices, but this morning our little one, 2 years old, woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and he didn't went to bed till 7:30. So what do? Your any intention of doing anything is out of window, you know. So we just mucked around with him, played with him, spent time with him, and be happy about it, you know. So that's what it is about, you know. Even if you are not able to do something or pursue something, it should not affect you too much negatively. That's what it is
Yes.
about.
Very, very good. Is that now in terms of your go-to resources, how do you incorporate your any type of, whether it's online or offline, but do you have any particular resource that you go to daily that helps you with your progress? Is there something that you can share there?
Yeah, definitely. I there is. There is an organization called Art of Living. Um, you can look for it on internet, and I believe they have over 100 million followers around the world, and they are running a lot of programs for people who are challenged in mental health space to help them out. And I've been consistently following their programs and doing that all the time. And it's a not for profit. So I've been following that, and then they have given us a lot of tools in terms of apps and all that, which again are very minimal in price. And any funds there you go, there you go. Um, so so um, so they have been, it has been instrumental in shaping me, and their head office is in India, and I make it a point that I spend a week or 10 days every year. I go there and do some extensive programs in there, just to revitalize myself and take a break from my day-to-day life. And luckily enough, before this whole thing started, I did that, and it has given me a lot of energy to go through this whole time. There you go.
Well, so you mean you go over to India, you go into this, you go and do a program online?
You can do it online. You can do it in Australia as well. But when you go to a place which is called ashram, and there are 1,000 people sitting there and doing meditation together, as opposed to you doing at your home by yourself, imagine the energy in the hall. I did a
Ah,
course last year where there were 3,500 people in the hall.
wow.
Imagine,
I
imagine the sort of atmosphere that will bring into your environment.
Yes. The art of living. We'll have to check it out. Well, it's all now. I really now it's really bringing to life the life beyond numbers and how
Yeah,
important that is to have. I guess with anything around finance and numbers and to attract an abundance in your life, it all is connected to that, isn't it? Like to be able to open yourself up to
yeah,
abundance
yeah,
instead as opposed to scarcity in the art of living and daily practice of this is important. Well,
yeah.
that's where I didn't think we would go tonight, Amit. This is wonderful.
This is again scary. You never know where you can take it.
Yes, yes. And this is particularly again to give people tools. I mean, you see this, there's funding, and we're talking about the government support, amazing for
Yeah.
business, but there's also, okay, take stock. What can I do to help myself
And
right now to make
anyone listening to this feels like this resonates with them, they want to know more, by all means, reach out to me. I will put you into the right resources. There are courses they are running online, and any donation that goes into the funding, that goes towards, looking after the kids and that sort of thing is there. From memory, I believe they are teaching 70,000 plus children free of cost.
wow. I India is a special place. I visited once in 2014, and it's certainly, and I've always, that's definitely a dream and a wish list to do something like this
Yeah,
in India.
yeah.
Would definitely one day that will all
Sure.
be possible again.
And obviously we have gone into different direction, but people in tourism industry right now in Victoria and in Australia and around the world, it has come to grinding halt.
Mm.
It's your mental state that's going to decide where you go from here. A disturbed mind, an upset mind, is in no position to make an informed and a good decision. So you need to do something different from whatever you're doing to calm it down and make some sensible decisions from there on.
Oh,
Good. Moment.
that's an aha moment. Very, very good, Amit. So I'm excited to ask you for my next question that I ask all the guests, and there's always a gold nugget, but I'm looking forward to what you will share in terms of a book that's really made a profound difference in your life.
Uh, yeah, there
Is
are now.
there one or lots?
Right now, I'm going through three different ones, but they all are. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with uh, management mantras or how to. It's more about managing myself than anything else. And at 9 to 9:30, we have a live session. We go through some recordings which have been given to us through the by the founder of Art of Living, right? So we'll play the recording and then we'll listen to what he has said. And it's a series of recordings we have. So we tend to do that. It's a good way to close your day from my point of view. Whatever you have dealt with, and then you need to give yourself that positive thought that everything that is happening in your world is way smaller than your life and everything else around you.
Oh, it really just connects you to that. Yeah, it's all a higher purpose.
To answer your question, yes, there are books, but I don't think you will be able to get them in market. But for argument's sake, one of those is called Gita. That's a religious book, we call it, but it has really good, meaningful conversations about the way you should lead your life.
Gita. Is that Ghita?
G
Gita?
Gita.
Gita. Gita. There's one we could go and do a little search on, and we can add that to the show notes. What a profound and wonderful conversation to have with you today, Amit. Thank you so much for joining me. It was so much more than numbers and cents. More
It's
sense. Yeah.
we need to take
I
numbers.
I'm really where can people connect with you? What's the best way to connect
Look,
with you and
um,
find out more about you and seeking your advice and
uh,
services?
I've got my own website with domain name amitagarwal.com.au. That's where Life Beyond Numbers is coming together at the moment. So that has all my details with what I do as far as finances is concerned. And what I'm going to do with Beyond Numbers is going to come unfold in next few months. So that's where everything is coming together, and my details are there. Anybody who's listening to this believe they should have got some grant or government funding, they think they are eligible, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you out.
How wonderful. Thank you so, so much. Very grateful that our universe connected, and I look forward to meeting you in person in the corridor at EIBC very soon. I took a
Absolutely.
lot of takeaways from you in this conversation and for this episode. Some key takeaways and aha moments to share as a summary. There's no such thing as job security, whether you've had a long-standing secure job over 5, 10, 20 years, or whether you have your own business. So if there's something you are called to do and you are passionate about, as Amit says, give it a crack, like give it a go. But in light of that, get some good professional people around you to support your decisions and support and champion you, whether it's to support you to go for it or pull back the reins a little bit in your best interests. I got a lot from you by way of understanding your numbers and looking at for opportunities where there's government support to also help support your business. I love everything you've shared around life beyond numbers, and I will actively look and watch that come to life. And maybe we can have you back when that all comes to fruition. Just the importance of keeping calm and composed, persistent and consistent. I
Mhm.
loved that. But most of all, I love what you shared around it is your mental state more than anything that will decide your next move and how you will come out of this, not so much your financial state. So a disturbed mind will never make a good decision. So look after yourself and look to resources like you've shared with the Art of Living, and we'll look out for some Gita magic. Thank you so much, Amit. We'll share everything on how to connect with you in our show notes and all of our social media.
Perfect. No worries. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap. What a wonderful guest to have on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you enjoyed Amit, please come over and check out instituteofexcellence.com/podcast. And when the episode is ready, you'll find all of the resources that we talked about. Oh, so much good. It's put me in a good, calm and composed place after a really busy, hectic day. So I'm looking forward to checking all that out. Thank you, everyone, for watching us live. Thank you for everyone watching the recording, and absolutely thank you to all of the Tourism Hub listeners. If you liked what you heard, please head over, subscribe. Please leave a review so we can keep propelling ourselves forward to bring you some gold nuggets and golden people like Amit that are just doing some good things in the world, in finance world and beyond, for people in the community. So until next time, my friends, be excellent today and every single day. Until next time, my name's Despina Karatius, and you've tuned into the Tourism Hub podcast. Thanks again for joining us on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you found this podcast valuable, it will mean the world to give us a review on Apple iTunes. We're also live every Saturday at 2 p.m. across all the Institute of Excellence Facebook and YouTube channels. And you are all invited. Be excellent, and don't forget, we also have courses available at instituteofexcellence.com to help you and your small business greatness.